Hey everybody, how's it going? Let me get this stuff up here working, running. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live. I see we got some people on already. That's great to see. So we had Cool Wheels show this weekend. That was a really big show, 12th annual. Had over 1,200 cars there. We got a group of guys to all hang out in the LPC car club. So we got some group parking spaces that were really good next to the food court and under the trees in the shade. It was a great place to be. Appreciate Joe hooking us up with that. And got a bunch of work done on Chuck's OBS truck, so got some stuff to show you there. That's pretty much the main thrust of the week. Trying to think, I did get some stuff done last week, not quite remembering exactly what it was, but yeah, so made big progress on Chuck's truck. So if you guys aren't local, Chuck hangs out at the shop on Saturdays, and so longtime friend, and I built a twin turbo LS engine. It's on the channel. There's a video on the engine assembly, so that was for his truck. The original engine that I built in the truck for his truck was a 383 first gen small block, which we put it on the put it in that 54 Chevy that's on the channel. So worked out good. We were able to give that guy with the 54 Chevy a good engine and transmission, and was able to get Chuck some decent money for his used engine. Hey Chris, how you doing? Missed you at the show Saturday. I know you were working. So it's all good. So yeah, so that was so I built that twin turbo engine for Chuck's truck, and we got a QA1 suspension package going on it, and Willwood 14-inch brakes, 6 piston calipers up front, and 4 pistons in the rear, and then of course the LS engine I built for it, and 4L80 trans, Holley Terminator X-Max fuel management system, Holley high ram. The turbos that we're putting on it are actually ceramic ball bearing turbos from just lost it. the rear mount turbos that it was a company that was making rear mount packages, and then Holley bought them, and I was able to grab a couple turbos. We'll see how they work up front. They're kind of on the small side, but we're not trying to make big, huge horsepower. So it's not going to be a race vehicle. Hey, Bill, how you doing? So, you know, that's going to be a good project in the future. I'll show you some pictures of that. And I got some pictures from the Cool Wheel show. Of course, I didn't get as many as I wanted to. I was having many issues with my GoPro still. I'm going to have to purchase a new one, I believe. This one's just getting all kind of quirky problems, and not reading the SD cards, and you know, reformatting them and still not reading them. Just weird things there. So I'm not 100% sure on what that's all about. I did get a new radiator for the NASCAR, so keep making forward progress on that. I've got all the components to build the new rear diff for it with a 370 gear ratio. So I'll get that going here in the near future. We got the Grand National, got that thing all tore apart, or T-type, but it's not really a Grand National. So we're making progress on that. We really don't have anything to show on that. I think I showed some pictures on that last week. So you know, making good good progress on the projects that are here. I have all the parts for the Dana 44 rear differential for the Vet Hawk. So hopefully I can get a couple projects caught up here in the shop and get on that thing soon, because I got the roll bar tubing for it now, so I can start laying the roll bar tubing. I needed the rear diff. I need to get that assembled because I have to make some cross members and such for the rear suspension, so I need to have the right unit in there so I can get that done. So I'm hoping that's going to make some big progress here in the near future. And that's kind of where we're at. So guess we can, it's only 5 after, probably give a couple more minutes. Oh, we got a good amount of viewers on here. So let me go ahead and show you some pictures from the Cool Wheels show. So it worked out good. We had a bunch of guys show up. We had 8 cars in our group, so that was pretty good. And hopefully the sound is good. I just looked at the sound and it looks like it's low. Let me just check one more thing here. So I don't know, does it sound pretty good on your guys' end? It looks like my numbers are wrong. It should be 400. Does that make the sound better? If anybody can answer me, that'd be cool. Anyway, so Cool Wheels show. It was the 12th annual. It's a pretty big deal. It's probably the biggest one in South Florida. It's pretty cool. They put the last year's car winner on the flyers and T-shirts and all that stuff. So this is our group here, the LPC Car Club. It was kind of a last-minute thing, but I know that at this event they park all the clubs on the asphalt. So I figured, let me see if we can get some asphalt parking for our guys. So this is Jonathan's car. He's the one who does any of automatic transmission mods that I need to have done or rebuilds and stuff like that. This is his personal car. I've helped him out with the blower and the carburetors and stuff on it. Years ago I made some stainless water pipes for it, stuff like that. He's had it for a long time. He actually won one of the 125 trophies in the show, so that was pretty cool. And of course I had the cup car there. Not a whole lot has changed since the last time we showed the car. I do have brake ducts set up to put in the front. I got a new radiator for it, and then the transmission and gear change. So hopefully we can get that done here in the next couple weeks. I am shooting for February 20th to 23rd to be in Sebring with the car and with the SVRA, Sports Car Vintage Racing Association. Hopefully I can get it on track and make some laps in it and start doing some shakedown on the road course. I mean, we've already been down drag strip and autocross track with it, but it hasn't been on a road course for any length of time. So I'm looking forward to getting that, making that happen, and we'll see how that all works out. I think it's going to be fine. But people really dig it at the shows. Some people don't really understand that it's actually a real NASCAR that was raced at one time. Some people think it's something I put together. I appreciate that, but there's a lot of work that goes into one of these cars, more so than I would want to do. So, but anyway, real good time. And Dave and Kim, for you guys that are coming to the show a lot, we just got to the one of the final steps on their Chevelle. They showed up at the show, and we got Kim to sit in, and she fired it up and stuff. So that was pretty cool. She got pumped up on that. Dave was teasing her that okay, appreciate that, Chris. Dave was teasing her that her Chevelle was louder than my car, so we were just kind of teasing her. So, but anyway, so that was my car, and then This is my buddy Doug Parlamento's car. This is for anybody that follows hurricanes or remembers hurricanes or events or something. This car was actually a Hurricane Andrew flood car from Miami. It's a 90. I think it's a 90, 89 or 90 Camaro RS. It was original 6-cylinder 5-speed car. We got the car was in a lot across the street from my old shop in Boca, Street Rods and Classics, and we were able to get the car from the insurance company to assemble a drag car out of it, and we did that. Doug and I were just talking about that. I think we did all that work in 1994, and Doug painted it, and it's got Excel DFI fuel injection on it, which we put on from the get-go. Power glide transmission, 9-inch Ford rear end, but all stock suspension. I think now it's got a AJE Anthony Jones front subframe on it, but it's all bolt on subframe and stuff like that. There's the now when we originally built it, it had a 468 big block in it. Now it's got a 509 in it, but it runs really good. Still using the old Excel DFI. Been in the car since the 90s. Running on E85. Real good race car. Doug's won a lot of races and trophies, and has an Ironman. So he's done quite well with this thing. Made the Palm Beach track bracket team many times. Been a real good car for him. And there's the interior. Tried to keep it real stock looking, so gray Kirky seat with the factory gray interior. We bent up a 6-point roll cage back in the day when we built the car. As you can kind of see in there, we put a turbo action shifter in the console. Got the ARC switch panel built in to the dash. So real clean, not trying to make it look like a race car, keep it looking like a street car. But he's had a lot of fun with the car, and now the car is slowly being converted back to street since we don't have our racetrack anymore. Chris has a question. Catch can that comes from the valve covers, what should kind of fluid should come out of it? So if you got a catch can on your valve covers, typically you're going to get you'll see a little bit of oil residue in there. It's very possible you'll get some condensation though also. So when you put the car in the garage or in the trailer or whatever and it's hot, as the motor cools down with the humidity we have in Florida, you will get condensation build up inside the engine, and then once it fires up, it'll hopefully blow the condensation into the breather tank, or as the motor heats up, it'll go ahead and disperse that. But a little bit of milky oil is very normal. So if that's what you're getting, don't worry about that. So the next car in our group was Mike Smith's 66 Chevelle. And this is a car that he's had for, I believe he said 49 years. He was telling a story that he was dating his wife, and he at the time had a motorcycle, and her parents said, if you want to date our daughter, you got to get a car. We don't want her on a motorcycle. So they sold the motorcycle, bought this Chevelle, and had it ever since. It was back half and built into a race car probably almost 20 years ago. Had a big block Chevy in it and stuff. He lived around the corner from me. I've known him for a long time. We've raced together and stuff. And I told him one day, I said, you want to make that car run really good. We need to put an LS in it. So I gave him an LS3 block to fit in the car. And then he ended up getting a set of Texas Speed CNC ported LS3 heads. And I believe it's a Cali's rotating assembly. And I went ahead and assembled it for him. It's got a pretty stout camshaft in it. CID intake manifold. We put Holley Dominator on it. Hey John, how you doing? We did a Holley Dominator fuel management because it does have a 4L80 behind it. So we wanted engine management, and then in future we'll be getting either a single or a two-stage nitrous spray bar plumbed into the CID manifold. We saw Keith Wilson at the show, Keith from Wilson Manifolds, and we talked to him, and he said, yeah, no problem to put spray bars into that manifold because the height of it, we really don't have any room for a spacer. Yeah, cold. Yeah, it's actually pretty chilly here too. But yeah, it's working out real good. Motor should be in the high 6s, low 7s horsepower range. It's got a 4,500 Wilson throttle body on it. Big fuel rails. We've got 1200 series Holley fuel pump on it. So it should work out really well once it's all done. I mean, right now he's just finished up to the point where he can actually cruise on the street and stuff. The car is doing excellent at this point on 93, getting good fuel mileage, and he's probably already put a couple hundred miles on a car. So doing real well with that. So that was a good car. If you guys they come on the show a lot, you probably seen or we talked about a crank trigger issue we had with an LS engine. This is the car that had it. The pictures from back then, there was no front cap on the car. So yeah, this was the car. And it's coming along well. My buddy Chuck with the OBS truck that we'll show, I'll talk about in a little bit. This is his GTA. It's three owner. He's the third owner of the car. Real nice 88 with the 5.7 in it. Real clean. I guess it's not really old enough to call a Survivor, but it is pretty much all stock. It had the last owner did put Willwood front calipers on it and did a cold air intake and a set of headers. But other than that, the car is completely stock, and it's super clean inside. Real nice car. And then this is my buddy Scott's Corvette, which there's videos on the channel and stuff. It's a 64 Corvette with the LS3 485 horse 4L70 trans on a street shop C4 chassis. He's had these Kelsey Hayes copy wheels made by Evot. Needs a super ram. Yeah. But yeah, it's a real nice car, and I didn't build this car, but I've been doing a lot of repairs trying to get all the bugs worked out of it, and it's making good progress. So glad to have it out at the show. This is my buddy John. It's Mustang. It's actually a Steeda car. Been friends for over 30 years. I built him a Trans Am. It was a third gen Firebird. No, fourth gen Firebird. We did a small block and fuel injected and stuff, and made it kind of look like a race car with electric power steering, so that the engine only accessory on the engine was the alternator. So when you opened the hood, it looked like it was a race car. He used to be a painter. He had a really trick custom paint job on it. He ended up selling the car, putting kids through school and stuff, and now they're at the age that they're on their own, and so it's time he got a new hot rod. So this is his new hot rod, and it was really the first time we hung out together, probably in 8 to 10 years. So it was really fun to have him out there. Glad he was able to make it. And this is Mike's 80 Pontiac Trans Am. This is the one that if you look on the show on the channel, there's a sniper install, and I think I have an engine build video on this. It's got a 455 30 over Holley Sniper 700 R4. I built this probably right after I opened this shop, so I'm glad to see that he's finally got it all back together. The interior's all back in, and he's been driving it, and he's actually got about 300 or 400 miles on it now, and he's loving it, having a lot of fun with it and stuff. And if you look in the background, there's a El Camino back there, white with the blue and purple bottom. That's one of those choo-choo custom conversions. So that's another friend of mine, Rogers, and there's a Holley IAC video on the channel, and that was that truck back there. I didn't get any closer pictures of it. I did get pictures, but the camera didn't work, so apologize for that. But that was pretty much, oh, I got one more. This is another friend of mine's, Kip, his 57 Chevy truck. In this truck, I did a Fat Man suspension, front suspension, and narrowed a 10 bolt on the leaf springs. In the back, it's got I think it's got a 12-inch wide rim and a set of wide Mickey Thompson tires. I built this truck, or the chassis on this truck, I want to think 1994. So it's been around. It's already, this is like the third rebuild on the truck. It used to be teal with pink flames from the 90s, and he changed it around, and this is the newest paint job on it. Kip owns a paint and body shop, so whenever he decides he wants to change up his vehicles, it's just a matter of time and a little bit of money. It's not like having to send it out or anything like that, but it was really cool to see the truck. This is the second time I've seen the truck in the last 2 years, and before that it was probably 15 years ago since the last time I saw it. So really glad he was able to bring it out to the show. So I think that was pretty much the cars that were there that we worked on, and the guys who were hanging out with us in the group. So I think hopefully the sound is okay, not too loud on this, but this is just some aerial on a stick kind of pictures of the cars in the area. By the time we were walking around after we ate lunch and stuff, it was kind of later in the afternoon, and a lot of the cars were starting to slide out. The show started at 10 for the spectators, but most of the cars were parked by 8 a.m. So by 2 o'clock, a lot of people were kind of ready to roll. So you can see the big gaps in the field and stuff where they were. But 1,200 something cars at the show. So really big show for South Florida. And this is this year's show winner. I didn't get a bunch of pictures of it at the time because I didn't know it was going to be the winner. But this was from what I was told, this was a SEMA build from 10 or 11 years ago. But the guys, kept it clean and running and working well, and he won Best of Show. This car, I believe it is a Miranda built car. I'm not going to swear to that, but it looks like it's got a lot of the key notes that the Miranda cars have: little billet side light, side markers, tucked bumpers, can dig it, door handles. So he won second place show overall. This really clean street rod with a flathead in it won third place. Another really super clean car. It was really, really great. So here's some of just the other cars that we got. I was able to get footage on. Seemed like my camera kept going to rapid photos, so a lot of them were blurry and didn't come out very good. But it was a clean little hot rod. This thing had a killer. Let me see if I can zoom in on that. A killer carbon hood on the thing, kind of shaped like an old stock car type deal with the air cleaner flushed out. But yeah, it was a really nice build, small block Chevy. And this was another highboy, clean car. This is a 49 Cadillac with, I think, a 49 or 50 Cadillac with a 55 Chevy front end on it. I don't know what the whole story was with that, but he grafted the 55 fenders and stuff on it. Really beautiful car. There's the interior. Real nice job on that. Another highboy. It's a nice painted Ford F1. And that had, I believe it had a modular Ford engine in it, but it really had a really nice paint job with the ghost flames on it. And that was another Stingray. I believe this one has a roadster shop or a roadster shop or street shop chassis underneath it, and it had an LS swap with some nice 18 and 19 wheels on it. And that was a 57 wagon, two-door wagon, another LS swap, super nice car. Another LS swap 57 with the front lift hood. That was kind of unique. And 60 Chevy, really super clean car. This was an RX-7 with a small block Chevy swap in it. And this is a 66 Nova with the LS with the 8-stack injection on it. Really nice ride. Had the 18-inch steelies on it, sitting right. Nice Fox body. This car, I didn't get the information on it. The owner wasn't there. So at first glance, it looks like a Charger with a Hellcat swap. But looking at the car closer, it's a real late model Charger, probably a Hellcat or a Red Eye or something like that, that they have. It's either a body kit that was installed or somebody grafted the 70 Charger body panels to it. So it was very deceiving at first, but when you looked at the wheelbase, you could tell it was a late model car. Plus the interior and the dash and all that was all the late model. In the engine bay, you could see the strut towers. So just I wasn't sure at first whether it was a body swap or if it was just a custom body. They may even make a kit to do that. I'm not really familiar with it, but really nice looking car. This was a clean GTO with another LS swap. And had really nice interior and stuff in that. Really super clean car. 37, 38 Chevy. Regular small block in that one. Another small block Chevy pickup truck. Really nice, clean vehicle. And this was a Eleanor with a Coyote, supercharged Coyote in it. Really cool car. Another second gen Camaro. Oh, pictures of that place. That's another picture of this Mustang. See if we can get. You can kind of see the blower. Everything's blacked out in the engine bay, so it's not real easy to see, but it is a late model Coyote, so it's pretty cool. Nice, probably 64, 65 Chevy truck, LS swapped. This is a buddy of ours, drag car, two-door Chevy Chevelle. This thing's a really cool car. He's been racing it for years. I don't know if you can see on the, let me see if I can zoom in. There's a nice picture on the plaque on the front of the car with doing a monster wheel stand. Car always did really nice wheel stands when we were racing it at Palm Beach. Really cool car. And old milk truck. Those are really cool. It'd be cool one day to get something like that we could hop up. Another custom. Some of the local car club guys, some more nostalgic style builds. Little T-bucket. And just some other random cars we got. The pictures came out good in. Trans Am. So my buddy's 64 Chevy truck. This is another build that's been together for over 20 something years. Got a 540 big block in it. At one time it was a race vehicle. Now it's a street vehicle. Mark's had a really nice ride there. And this thing we just walked up on just before everybody took off. Very custom Chevy pickup truck. Super clean. Really nicely done. All the engine bay panels and stuff all done up nicely. The jewelry box, as Can Dig It puts it. Really cool hood hinge setup and stuff on this thing. Real nice interior and stuff. You know, Ryan's on. He can appreciate all the gaps and all the stuff that's done to this thing, since he's doing something very similar to a square body. A lot of work went into this truck for sure. And there's the airbag system with the rear frame and all that. Super clean vehicle. Little bug that has been a local car for a while. This guy did all the work himself. Did a really nice job with the dimple dyes and dimple dyed all kinds of stuff. Even the headliner's got dimple dye panels in it and stuff. Really cool car. Little little Camaro drag car turned back to the street. Little GTO was pretty clean. Another Chevy truck that was done up real nice. This one actually won the 22 Cool Wheels show. This was the overall winner back then. Real nice with the flat, couple shade off engine bay and interior that matches with the high gloss. I believe this is also a Miranda built truck, but really super clean. Nice two-door 57 wagon. And I think this is the Cadillac we looked at already. So I think that's all I got from the show. So I'm going to slide that stuff together. You know, once again, you guys being on the live show, you guys get to see stuff before anybody else does. That'll all be put into a little video for the channel when I get some time to get back to editing stuff. And so I guess I'll give you guys another sneak peek. We can go over some of the stuff we've got done to Chuck's OBS. Trying to get this thing moving along. So we started out with the Christmas boxes from QA1. There's his truck up on the rack. And there's all the stock brakes and suspension that was on the truck originally. We had done a rear brake conversion years ago, and it had a bell drop kit on it with re-arched springs, but we had to put airbags on it because it rode pretty harsh. But that's what it had on it before. That was the stuff that we were doing, just some of the slides of where we were at. Pulled all the inner fenders and all that stuff out, ripped all the wiring and all that stuff out to get it all cleaned up and painted and all that stuff. So this is the QA1 front suspension package. So we got the tubular upper and lower control arms and the coilovers with the spring that fits on the coilover on the bottom and in the factory pocket on the top. And these are Willwood's spindles, which we had to put on their drop spindle to get the big brakes on it that we're doing from Willwood. So I messed up. We didn't even realize it when we unpackaged everything. I never got sway bars for this, so I'm working on sway bars for it now. That'll be something we'll come up with here in the future. And this is the rear suspension package. So what this does Hey Ryan, how you doing? Uh, this is a C-notch kit for the frame. They give you really nice templates. You mark it out in the frame, you cut it out, and these bolt in. These lower mounts bolt to the rear end housing. This is a cross brace that goes from the support frame rail that holds the gas tank up to the right frame rail, and that becomes the intersection point for this third link that goes down the center. So it becomes a 3-link setup. You've got outer links to these bars. That's the front mount, and this is the rear mount on the housing. And then this third link trailing arm actually goes to this rear end cover you'll see back here, and that's what mounts that. And then it's got a panhard bar, full length panhard bar. So it should be a really good suspension for this thing. And of course, QA1 adjustable coilovers in the back. Another shot of the components. There's that rear cover. It's pretty cool. You can see the coilover springs in the background. Some close-ups on some of the components. So these go on the frame where the front leaf spring eyelets are now. So that gives you your adjustments for your front trailing arms. And then this diagonal bar, you can see has a mount, and that's where your center link connects to. Just another angle of pictures. That actually, you can actually see the two outer trailing arms. And here's a template. So there's already these two holes are already in the frame, and you bend this cardboard piece around the frame, and it gives you your two holes to drill from the bottom, and it gives you your lines across here to cut out the frame. So really easy, worked out real well. And what I appreciated, instead of a little paper template, this was actually perforated cardboard, so it was thick and robust to put around the frame and everything. So it worked out really nice. So here's a little bit better picture. Oh, all right, cool, Ryan. So you've seen this stuff already. I'm really impressed. It's a good looking kit. So there's the frame. Unfortunately, a little out of focus, but there's the cut. There's the driver side mount. So you got your coilover mount up here, and then on the other side of this is your panhard and panhard support bar that goes to the other side. That's the support bar there. And there's the other one there. Plenty of bolts to bolt it together. You could weld it into the frame. With this much hardware going through, I just didn't see any need to do all that. And you'd have to, grind the powder coat off, and then then when you grind powder coat off, it makes a nasty edge, and just decided just to do it on the bolt-on kit. So here's where the front leaf spring eyelet mounted, and on the new piece, you'll use these two, and then drill two more bolt holes back there. It actually moves the location farther back, which is nice, so your outer links aren't super long. And there's the plate bolted in. So here's the front two rivet location, and that's the two rear location of the front leaf spring eye. So you can see it moves it back a bit. Plenty of holes for adjustments. There's another angle of where the leaf spring eyelet used to sit. The inside view. Another inside view. We did have to remove the factory shock mount out of the passenger side to get these bolts drilled through. Plus, you don't need that bracket anymore. Another angle of that. There's the passenger side piece all bolted in. Again, coilover mount on the outside. And these tabs are for the support bar that goes over to the panhard mount. Just another picture of the hardware on the inside. Plenty of hardware, as you can see, though. And that's all 7/16 hardware, all torqued to 50 foot-pounds. So, I mean, I can't see this thing going anywhere. So we went ahead and probably should have pressure cleaned the truck before we started putting the suspension on, but the stock components covered up so much frame, I knew we were going to have to do it in 2 parts. So we bolted all the new suspension in. I made dummy struts to hold the suspension up, and we got it up on the race ramps and started pressure cleaning all the grease off so that we can paint all the underside of the truck. And just some pictures of Chuck under there working his magic. You can see you got the firewall all pressure clean. That's actually a spot of where the original throttle body engine actually had a fire. A fuel line ruptured and had a fire. That's kind of how I met Chuck in the first place when I built the new 383 engine for him. But you can see with the QA1 stuff, we were able to get to a lot of the frame to get all the grease and everything off so we can get that all prepped. We're going to paint the all the frame with the POR 15, and then we're going to do the inner fenders and the firewall in gloss black. Oh, that picture's bad. Here's kind of one of the pictures of the rear suspension. Dummy struts in where the coilovers would normally sit, and then you got your support bar going from frame to this frame rail, and then the Panhard bar going back. So it's got a lot of, a lot of suspension is going to have, tight for that. Another little bit better angle. There's the upper control arms. The other side suspensions got the Willwood hubs and rotor mounts on there. And just a couple pictures of Chuck getting soaked. You can see he did a real good job getting all the crud off the frame and underside of the cab. I mean, that paint's almost good enough to leave it, but we're going to go ahead and put a fresh coat of paint on the underneath the cab and the bed. We'll just do that in machine gray. But yeah, you can see it really cleaned it up well. Spare tire area is all cleaned up. Lower control arms, all the frame all cleaned up real good. So all this is pretty much ready for paint. So we'll probably start on that next week. Another picture is there's the strut rod that we're using to hold the vehicle up at ride height. My fancy drag link so we could steer the truck. And those are the wheels that he's had on the truck in the past. We're probably going to end up changing those down the road because the offset's a little bit too far out to lower the truck as low as we want. And it just shows, you can see how clean the underside of the cab got and the frame and everything. So you can now kind of see how that rear suspension mounts. So this frame rail here is where the gas tank rear saddle mounts, and this diagonal bar goes back to the passenger frame rail, and that gives you your mounting point for the trailing arm. So you got your outer trailing arms there, which are just straight links, and then this is what's going to control your forward bite of the truck. You guys go back to some of the earlier live shows, we did some rear suspension stuff there, and that's, you can see how you would work for suspension for getting forward bite. Ryan asked, how's it look for exhaust clearance? Actually, there's a ton of room. Oh, yours is tight. Now this looks like it's got a ton of room. However, being it's going to be twin turbo, I'm going to go out through probably the side right below the steps and come out each side. But yeah, it looked like it'd be no problem to get a 3-inch exhaust out the back. Now, I didn't see it with the spare tire back in and the Panhard bar, so it could get tight back there. But a lot of these 3-link and 4-link rear suspension kits, like the DSEs and QA1 or Ride Tech on the Camaros and stuff like that, typically they run the exhaust under the rear housing. John says you guys in the South are so lucky. I am sure you're talking about rust. Yeah, we are lucky. This truck actually, Chuck has owned this truck about 25 years, and he originally purchased it in Austin, Texas. So it's been in Texas and Florida its whole life. So I don't think it saw much snow in Austin, and very good. The panhards are the issue. So at that point, I would run the exhaust under the rear end housing, because the truck's gonna be slammed all the way down anyway. And so as long as you give it a little clearance for when the rear end is down, I would think that's the best way to do it. I know on a lot of the, like I was saying, a lot of the F bodies that are doing 3-link and 4-link, Chris's Nova is another one. We got the exhaust going underneath the rear end housing to aid in clearance, because like you say, with the Panhard bar, it gets tight back there. There's a kind of a side shot when you can see with the trailing arm. The camera got focused on the wrong thing on that one. And there's the front mount again, or the center link. And there's the back. Now, of course, right now we didn't set these Panhard bar places at the right, we don't have the ride height set or anything like that. What you'd want to do is you'd want to make this Panhard bar at ride height as level as you can make it. So I could see, though, how it would be tight going back through here. Now, I don't know about on yours, Ryan, but our Panhard bar has a heavy turn to the passenger side to clear this rear cover. So I think you could snake a 3-inch pipe through there. It'd be tight, but I think you could do it. But again, like I said, we're going to kick the exhaust out before the rear wheels, because with the turbos, it's gonna be pretty quiet anyway. There's the opposite side. Again, you can see they have tons of positioning holes for where you want to get it, the height, even the coilover mounts. So there ample amount of adjustments to finish off the vehicle at whatever ride height you want. Oh, yours turns also. Okay. So, yes, I mean, the biggest thing is just have to make a decision at the ride height to whether going under would be feasible or not. Typically with the QA1 stuff, you don't have a lot of droop out of the shocks from ride height. So I don't see it being any issue if you went underneath, especially with the truck on the ground. And like I say, tons of the aftermarket chassis, especially a lot of the autocross and road course built cars, they all are running the exhaust under the housing just because of that. Either the watch link or Panhard bar becomes a major issue. And that would be something interesting to do down the road. It would be to convert this to a watch link. But for right now, we're going to just install it the way it is, the way the kit's designed, and we'll see where that goes from there. Another angle of the rear suspension. Now, right now, this suspension is set pretty close at the ride height we can run with these wheels. These wheels are a little too far offset. So the Panhard bar really needs to be dropped down on that side and raised on that side. So at this ride height, I think there'd be a pretty good amount of room for the exhaust to go through, for a 3-inch pipe to go through. But you just have to play with yours, Ryan, unfortunately. But I would get all this stuff all sorted out first before you worry about the exhaust. Just a close-up. Nice, they got the turnbuckles in there for doing pinion angle and for centering the rear. So with that bar turned, you're not going to be able to rotate the bar. So that'll work out well. And this housing still needs to come out. I need to weld the tubes and cut these old shock mounts off. So we still got a little bit of work to do there. And just another angle looking from the driver's side and the rear wheel. And you can see right now we have about 1.5 inches to the fender, and if the tire went up into the fender, it would hit the edge. Unfortunately, the tire shop that figured out these offsets kind of blew it and got them in the wrong place. So that's going to be something we're going to look into in the future, because we definitely would like to get the thing all the way down in the weeds, since now we have all this adjustable suspension stuff. So that's kind of where we're at with that. Making good progress on that, though. I mean, that vehicle is kind of like a Saturday deal. Dave and Chuck come by on Saturdays, and we kind of spend the day on his truck to keep making forward progress. This weekend they'll be taking all that suspension back off and painting the frame and painting the undercarriage of the body and stuff. And then the last thing we have to do is get the firewall painted, and then we can start reassembling the car. And we reassemble the wheelwood brakes and all that stuff. So that'll be all stuff we're going to be working on in the future. Chuck, it's going to be a nice ride when it's all done. And right now the tires that are on the truck are not treadwear rated for autocross or anything like that. So we'll have some, once we have the truck finished, we'll have some more things to do to it down in the future. At least with these wheels that are on there now, we can get the big brakes and all that stuff on there, get all that sorted out, and at least get the truck back on the road. Like I said a couple weeks ago, when I sold the engine that was in the engine and trans out of that truck to the guy Jerome with the '54 Chevy, it was a great deal for Chuck and Jerome, because motor and trans only had 11,000 miles on it. Chuck keeps super great records on oil changes and spark plugs and all whatever maintenance he has to do on his vehicle. So I mean, how can you beat an engine that's used, but you got that kind of records and all that kind of stuff. And of course, luckily Jerome figured since I built it, he felt comfortable with it, so he got a good deal, and Chuck was able to get a decent price for the motor and training coming out of the truck. But that was 3 years ago. Well, not quite. It's like 2 years and 2 years and what Chuck say Saturday? 2 years, 10 months, and 3 weeks or something from when we pulled the motor out of it. Yeah, Chris, with the wheelwood, it's going to stop, and we're going to do Hydro Boost on it, and just like I said on the channel, I called Wheelwood and said, okay, here's the brake kits I'm using with Hydro Boost in this truck. What master do I use? I assumed it was going to be the 1.1 inch, and they verified that was the one that they want used on that kit. So that's what we did, and so that's going to be real nice when that's all put together. It's going to corner good. It's going to be ride nice. The QA1 double adjustables are great shocks, and you can really tune them in really nicely, and it's going to be just a great handling truck. And with the twin turbo engine, should have plenty of power to light the tires up at will and have a good time with it. So looking forward to making forward progress on that. So I didn't get any videos finished edited yet, but I'm still working on the final editing on the Tex Racing transmission for the Cup car, so I can get the next episode up for that. And like I said, I've got all the parts now to put the rear diff in it together, so we'll have the new diff, and I've got just about all the parts to fix the fuel cell. I'm still waiting on a new fuel pump, and I've got the flex fuel sensor in stock. And I think I showed you guys last week my nice Race Part Solutions made in U.S. fuel cell lid. They gave me a billet one because the fuel cell lid that I have has an oddball pattern in it, and then this is the anodized O-ringed fuel cap, so it'll work out beautiful. I really like these they work great for intercooler tanks and radiator tanks and stuff like that. The best thing I like about them is there's no vent in this cap. So now the large vent that's coming out of the fuel cell, I can put an AN cap on the end of that and totally seal off the fuel system when the car is in storage. That'll keep the E85 from absorbing moisture and trashing the fuel, and it'll keep fuel smell out of the garage. And it's just a really great way of doing anytime you're running an alcohol fuel, whether it's methanol or ethanol. Both of those fuels are hydroscopic, just like brake fluid. We've talked about this on previous shows. So on a hydroscopic fluid, it can absorb moisture, and the condensation will mix completely with the other chemicals. So whether it be ethanol or methanol, and then that becomes corrosive. Now you've got the combination of water and ethanol or methanol, and it can trash the fuel system. That's the downside of alcohol fuels, is that they can absorb water and trash the fuel system. That's why you very seldom see anybody using a carburetor with E85. There are people who do it, but you have to flush your fuel system all the time. You have to seal it up the best as possible. It's just kind of labor intensive to use it. Whereas when you're running fuel injection, the only point of entry you have is the vent system going into the gas tank, because the injectors are sealed in the fuel rails. Typically, if your fuel system's working properly, there's always fuel in the fuel rail. It won't have any pressure on it, but it'll be encapsulated, so it'll be submerged in fuel, so there's nowhere air can get in. So if you can seal off your fuel cell or gas tank, the fuel will last just like it does in a sealed container. It'll last 6 months, a year, whatever it is. So just makes a lot better maintenance. I had that issue with my 50 Chevy, where after a couple years of use, the fuel system did get trashed, and we had to flush the injectors and put new fuel filters in it, because I didn't have a seal on the breather tank. Although I did make my curly Q hose assembly, and the vent was inside the trunk of the car, so the moisture had to work its way in there, but over a course of a couple of years, it did eventually get in there and cause a problem. But blocking off the vents is the way to fix that. So John says 17 days ethanol goes stale. Are you thinking that because of the ability for moisture to get involved in the fuel? Because I thought I've read on of course it was on a forum, but the race E85 guys were saying in sealed barrels where no air could get to them, that the fuel could last up to a year. So I ran it in the 50 for 4 years, and it seemed to always do good. But like I said, eventually the moisture did get into it. So as long as so so John, is that yes in sealed container, or if it's open to atmosphere pressure? Hey, thanks, Darren. Glad to see you made it back on the show. You just missed a shameless plug on your fuel lid. Great piece. But yeah, so that's what we're working on for that. And like I said at the beginning of the show, I do have all the components now to put the fuel's okay sealed. That's what I was led to believe also. Yeah, so if it's vented, yeah, you got big problems. In fact, I know guys that tried running E85 on carbureted drag cars, and it only took about 7 to 10 days for the fuel system to be be trashed. Yeah, they're late to the party. So yeah, so you definitely want, if you're going to run the 85, you really have to work on sealing up the fuel system. Like I was showing our group's cars back at the Cool Wheel show at the beginning of the show, Doug's Camaro is been on E85 for years, and we've had some, he's had to flush the injectors and stuff. Yeah, metal container for sure. He only has one vent open to his fuel cell, and that's the aircraft style. No, he doesn't. That lid was on there. We actually go through the stock gas cap. I forgot we did that. So Darren says he uses a stable when running E85. I was thinking about if there was some type of top end lube or something like that would help. But the biggest thing is if you can keep the moisture out of the fuel. That's the biggest thing. And like I said, with Doug's car, we mounted his fuel cell above the rear end where the stock gas tank was. So we had to put an elbow going into the fuel cell where the factory cap was, and we ran it through the factory fill port on the side of the quarter panel. And then he's got a vent line, an overflow hose that comes out in the wheel well so you can see when the tank is full because you can't get to the top of it. And there is a vent line on the top, which he hasn't been plugging in. That he has had to do some filters and have the injectors flushed a couple of times over the course of the last couple of years. Car does sit a lot because of the racetrack being closed. So we're working on converting that now, so he'll be able to close it. I ran that in you're right, your Porsche, you had E85 on your Porsche years and years ago. Chris says, would sealing off the tank, even if drive the car every weekend, or how many days letting it sit? Well, Chris, I would, if you're going to let the car sit for, let's say, 4 or 5 days, and you're going to be able to burn off the fuel that's in the tank, you'd probably be okay. But you just got to remember that, it will absorb moisture. So if you're going to let it sit and you're not using all the fuel in the tank, and then you let it sit another 5 or 6 days, the next time, eventually the fuel's going to go bad. So it's much easier just to put a vent in there. In fact, if you have a vent hose, you can just get a ball socket valve. Darren and them up at Race Parts Solutions, they have Fragola fittings, and Fragola has all the way up to number 12, I believe, with a ball valve in it. So you could put that in your vent and just turn the lever, and that would seal off your vent. John says, Startron stabilizer is made for ethanol fuels. Okay, I haven't heard of that one. Yeah, Startron. Okay, I'll have to look into that. Because that's as long as you can keep the water out of it, though, the corrosion factor is really small. Years ago when I was driving the Pro Mod, that system was a methanol Hemi blown Hemi, and that car would sit for 4 to 6 weeks between events. Now, of course, it didn't have much fuel in it because we'd burned most of it off at the track. But again, with that one, we'd seal the vent off, and it would be fine. In fact, at the end of the year, I took all the year racing it for the whole season. I took all the Fragola fittings apart, which are all black, hard anodized, and there was no corrosion in any of the fittings. Some of the hoses had gotten hard and stiff from the methanol, but that's to be expected with methanol fuels. But it worked out real well, and so that's that's what we're going to try to do. I will look into that Startron stabilizer, though. I've been thinking about some kind of additive for a fuel to try to help keep everything lubricated and all that stuff. So so that's what we're working on. Try to get some more stuff done. I'm finishing up Joe's cowl panel on his 69 Camaro, so I'll have a picture of the final product before it goes to get coated. Darren says maybe keeping the tank full would help, less room for air. Yeah, I think that would help, but you know, again, I think just if you can put if you can cap the vent, so there's no vent going to the tank, it's not gonna, as long as the car's not out in the sun, you're not gonna get an expansion and stuff where it's gonna cause any problems. You should have zero issues with that. Like I said, the guys with methanol, which is way more corrosive than ethanol, will let their cars sit for up to 2 months with fuel in it, as long as they cap the vent so that no air can get to the fuel system. So, but yeah, keeping the tank full is definitely, you know, definitely a plus if you're going to do any kind of storage. More, like you said, the more room you have for air, the more problems you're opening yourself up for. So I think that's what we're going to have for the show tonight. Next week, I'm going to try my hardest to get some good tech stuff back on the show. Kind of have a break now from the car shows for a little bit, and try to get some of that information up on there, and we'll work on getting these projects moving along, and see what we can do for next week. Appreciate everybody coming out and watching the show. Remember, smash the like buttons. Really helps with the algorithm. And subscribe. Like I said, like I always say, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. You're not going to get trash mail or anything from that. It's just a way of you keeping track of the channels you like to watch, whether it's mine or any other channel that's out there. There's a lot of great channels, and you can ring the bell, and you'll get instant notifications when they get there. And if you got a friend that's hasn't seen the show and you want to give them a heads up, share it, and we'll get some more people out there watching it. I'm looking at the in the YouTube studio. It looks like we had 156 viewing tonight, so that's huge. That's a really good show tonight. And John says, especially if you have a large temperature swing, keeping full will help from condensation. Yes, for sure. That's for sure. You want to watch large temperature swings. That's going to create issues, and of course, anybody that lives out of the South, you have to keep an eye on your E85 or your ethanol content, especially if you're not running a flex fuel sensor on your vehicle, because they will, as the weather changes, they will change the amount of ethanol in the fuel. I've seen or heard of up north, they can get all the way down into the 40s for percent, even though they're calling it E85, but they're calling it winter grade because they need more gasoline to help the vehicle start easier. So keep an eye on that stuff, and we'll keep going. Hey, Rick. Yeah, so Rick got his shirt. Remember, you guys, my local guys and my guys on watching on the web, email me your address and shirt size, and I'll send you guys the new Landis Performance YouTube shirts. And we're just about got the second batch of shirts printed, and once we get them done, I'll go ahead and get them in a store. I just want to make sure I had a couple that if somebody wanted one, we can sell them. So that's coming up real soon. So make sure you do that, and we'll do this all again next week. I appreciate everybody coming out, and we'll do it all again next week. So with that, see y'all later. See ya.